April 2022 saw the closure of the sole representative visa route, or the representative of an overseas business. It was quite a landmark route because that was the only non-points-based visa that could allow a business to enter into the UK. However, what the UK did was it replaced the sole representative visa with the expansion worker visa. Hi, my name is Hemang Laaheru. I'm a principal advisor at Conroy Baker Ltd, and today we're going to look at what makes the expansion worker visa so different and yet so friendly to businesses that are seeking to expand into the UK. The UK expansion worker visa allows businesses that are based outside the UK to nominate a senior executive or a specialist worker to enter the UK to set up a wholly owned branch or a subsidiary of that business. Where the expansion worker differs from the sole representative visa is that there is no condition around the ownership of the business. For instance, the sole representative visa did not allow majority shareholders or individuals in significant control of the business to be the applicants, whereas there is no such consideration on the expansion worker route. If the business can demonstrate that it's going to continue in its home country and that there is a substantial team which can take care of that business overseas, a potential owner of the business in the UK can move to the UK with that particular business as its expansion worker. What the expansion worker also does is it takes away the problem of one person trying to do multiple jobs. The sole representative visa, as the name suggested, allowed for only one applicant in the business to enter the UK. The expansion worker can allow for up to 5 applicants to enter the UK. And what this means from a business's perspective is that it's no longer constrained to send only one person to do multiple roles in a new country, but it can send up to 5 people who can handle multiple different domains, which is relevant for the essential growth of that particular business in the UK. And this is one of the biggest changes and the draw that makes the expansion worker route so much more easier for businesses to nominate people and have a best possible chance of success. The expansion worker has particularly 2 steps. In the first instance, a business is required to register a footprint in the UK. Setting up a company in the UK, if they have evidence of nominating or agreeing to an office space in the UK, they could provide evidence of that. If not, even a virtual office space can meet that requirement of registering a company in the UK and showing that the business has set up a footprint. In addition, a business overseas can demonstrate that they've done certain preliminary work towards the setup of their business in the UK. And this could mean interacting with accountants, getting a sense about the tax regime in the UK, speaking to the legal team to find out how the contracts could be structured. So any kind of preliminary work that the business has done in the UK will add value to this particular application. Business is able to demonstrate that it has sufficient resources to meet the requirements, the expenses during the first year of its operation in the UK, then it will have deemed to meet this requirement. An expansion worker visa typically is granted for 12 months. Applicants can then look at extending this visa for another 12 months if they feel that there is still more work that needs to be done to set up this particular branch or the subsidiary. For most businesses then, the expansion workers will look at adding a skilled worker subcategory to their existing application for sponsor license and then switch from an expansion worker to a skilled worker. Now here's the interesting part. The sole representative visa allowed the grant of a visa first, and then the applicants entered the UK to set up the branch and register the subsidiary. However, this is the first step that is now taken on the expansion worker route. Once a business has been registered, an applicant can then use that business to apply for a sponsor license with the Global Business Mobility route as an expansion worker. So once the business is set up, it has nominated the expansion worker. The expansion worker can then be what's known as an authorizing officer in their own application. Now, once the business has applied for the sponsor license, a typical processing time at the moment for an application is about 8 weeks. Once the company has been granted a sponsor license for an expansion worker, they can then look at applying for an entry clearance for the applicant. The whole process now has been streamlined, and a company can expect a delegate to be in the UK in as little as 3 months if they're able to demonstrate that they meet all the requirements for the expansion worker visa. This allows businesses across sectors to leverage any growth opportunities that they might come across. And once an applicant is in the UK, they will have a period of 12 months to set up the base for the business, to show that the business has achieved a certain scale, has made a start to trading in the business. And once they've had that, they can then apply for the skilled worker subcategory and then switch to a skilled worker visa. So the expansion worker visa is unique in the sense that it is not sector specific. Businesses across any sectors, across any scale, as long as they can evidence that they have been trading, they are a genuine business, and they have a valid ground for expansion to the UK, can apply for an expansion worker visa. This is likely to make it more relevant from a UK perspective to ensure that businesses have a specific timeline to not only show investment, but also to show that they have scaled up to a sufficient level to merit having their expansion worker switch over to a skilled worker visa. And this typically sets up a win-win proposition, both from a UK government perspective and the business perspective, because now there's a time-bound way in terms for the business to show the growth and to recognize that it has created jobs or built investment in the UK. The good part also about the expansion worker visa at the outset is that it does not require the applicant to provide evidence of meeting the English language requirement or specify a minimum amount of investment into the UK or commit to a minimum number of jobs in the UK. An applicant, however, will need to meet the English language requirement when they're applying for the skilled worker visa. And the expansion worker visa will also allow the applicant to bring their family to the UK. So the dependents, which is spouse or partner or children till the age of 18, can join the main applicant when they enter the UK as an expansion worker. They can then continue to remain in the UK and switch to the skilled worker route if they meet the requirements. And this is particularly relevant when the dependents are coming in with their children who are below the age of 18 when they've entered the UK, and then they're often worried if their kids will be able to remain in the UK once they're over the age of 18. Well, as long as they have entered the UK as a dependent below the age of 18, there wouldn't be any problems for them to switch their visa status as dependents, continuing on that route when the main applicant switches to a skilled worker visa. So all in all, the expansion worker makes a huge change from the sole representative route. Whilst it maintains the simplicity with no minimum investment amount, no minimum job creation guarantee, what it also does is it lends a bit of a structure to the process. It does require the applicant to be employed for at least 12 months with the parent company overseas. And again, there are conditions that can be met if the applicant has been working for less than 12 months, and they would still be eligible to apply. In addition to that, the applicant is guaranteed a minimum salary in the UK, which makes a change from the sole representative route where there wasn't a prescribed minimum. So it does tend to make a huge change from a lot of steps that the sole representative visa did not dwell on, to making it a proposition that creates the structure not only for the business but also for the applicants and also for the UK economy as a whole. And it's definitely a positive step towards a structured migration system that allows the UK to attract businesses that will continue to add value. If you are a business that's considering applying under the Expansion Worker Visa, or if you have any queries relating to the Expansion Worker Visa, we would love to hear from you. If there are any specific topics that you want us to cover, feel free to drop them into the comments box and we will look at providing the relevant information on that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.